Hey guys, welcome back to a new video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about that right there, the top 5 tips that you need to know before you retire and relocate to Georgia. Let's get into it. All right, so let's go ahead and start with the first thing. My name is Raymond, and I'm a real estate broker here in Atlanta, Georgia. I work with buyers and sellers that are looking to purchase and sell real estate here in the city of Atlanta, Metropolitan Atlanta, and the entire state of Georgia. So if you have a real estate concern in the entire state of Georgia, feel free to reach out to me. Drop a comment below if you're curious about if I work with that particular type of service. I will reply. I reply to all of the comments in the comment section. So definitely feel free to reach out to me there. Also, you can feel free to reach out to me in forms of email and phone call. All of my contact information is on the screen right now and also in the description below. So feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. Also, feel free to book a consultation directly using the link in the description where you can schedule a time directly on my calendar to discuss your exact real estate concerns or needs. I do not work with rentals at this time. I do have a different way of working with renters, so just reach out to me if you are thinking about renting and need assistance in that regard, but that's not something that is a free service. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the topic of this video, which is the top 5 tips before you retire and relocate here to Georgia. So let's get into it. Also, this video format is going to be, we're giving you tips, but I'm giving you the tips in chronological order. So they're almost like tips / steps, but you can definitely benefit from doing it in the order in which I'm giving it to you, because that's the way I laid out all of my notes for the video. All right, so let's go ahead and start with tip number 5, which is essentially start preparing early. You want to at least start, if you're thinking about literally retiring and relocating to Georgia, that's a big commitment, right? That's a big step, because you're not only retiring, you're actually uprooting yourself from an area that you're living in now and retiring in a whole different state. So there are some complexities there. So we're gonna I definitely want you to start preparing early. I would say 12 months is a good rule of thumb to start your preparing process. And the reason I say 12 months is because that is gonna be exploration. I personally, when I speak with my clients or prospective clients on a consultation call, most of you guys will hear me use the word exploration and implementation. I believe that the home buying process and relocating should be broken down in steps and stages. Me personally, I'm a very analytical person, so I like to analyze and prepare. So I think if you break things down in a strategic or chronological order, you typically will have a more fluid and like stress-free transaction, because you know what to expect. You're forecasting all of these stages, okay? So tip number 5 and step number 1, if you will, is gonna be to prepare 12 months. And you wanna do this on your own. In those 12 months period of time, you're not gonna engage with real estate professionals. So hopefully if you're watching this video and you're 12 months out, then you can start these steps. But if you're a little bit closer to retirement, then you may have to skip this step because you're a little bit closer. But if you are at least 12 months out from your retirement / relocation, then definitely do that for 12. Take that 12-month period of time at least. So you need to be a little bit over 12 months, but start 12 months out, okay? You're not gonna reach out to any real estate professionals, either agents or lenders at this time. This is literally just exploration. All right, so tip number 4 is gonna be to visit the state of Georgia, preferably the area that you're gonna relocate to. If you're thinking about relocating to Metro Atlanta, then you wanna visit Metro Atlanta within that 12-month exploration phase, okay? Now, here's a tip that I would say how you need to shape your trip. The first thing you need to do is understand that you want to try and break up your stays in multiple trips, okay? If you have the luxury of doing that. Now, I know everybody's situation is different, so you may not have the luxury of doing that. If you can at least, maybe if you have 2 vacations per year, take both of those vacations in Georgia, in the Atlanta Metropolitan Area. And you want to do 7 and 7, right? So take 7 days on your first trip and stay in Metro Atlanta. So what I would say to do is, don't stay in the same place for the full 7 days. Break it down in 2 to 3 day increments. And what I want you to do is I want you to break up the city in quadrants. I'm gonna flash a map on the screen now of how you can break it up. So as you can see on the map, that's gonna be Interstate 285, which is our perimeter, primarily that you see. I want you to make a T across that perimeter, okay? Now you can get it as wide or as narrow as you want, but essentially you're gonna draw a T straight down the middle between, just like I did on the next slide here, and you're gonna break the city up in quadrants, the metropolitan area up in quadrants. So you're gonna have the northeast quadrant, the northwest quadrant, southwest, and southeast, okay? And what that's gonna do is it's gonna help you make sure you spend an equal amount of time in each quadrant. Now, if you know where you wanna be in the Atlanta metropolitan area, you can skip breaking it up in quadrants and you can just spend your time in those areas that you want to be. I still would recommend not staying stationary for a full vacation trip. I would say it would be beneficial for you to move about. So like say if you do 7 days, still do the 2 to 3 days in one area that you're thinking about and then 2 to 3 days in the other area. What you're trying to do is accelerate your understanding, accelerate your knowledge. And so that's gonna take some creativity in order to do that, and some physical moving around for you to have to leave one hotel or one Airbnb to the other. But what that's gonna do is it's gonna make sure that you have a well-rounded understanding of the area, at least in a condensed way, right? Because the reality is once you move and relocate to Georgia, you will get to experience the fullness of that community in that area. But at least you can get some type of foundation. And if you do the first trip that way, on your second vacation, you're gonna come back again, another 7 days, right? And as much time as you have, if you have more than a 2-week vacation, then obviously I want you to spend as much time in those areas as possible. There's a reason you're doing that, and we're gonna get there, all right? All right, so tip number 3 is gonna be outside of just exploring. This is gonna be understanding your finances. The very most important part outside of exploring a different area and trying to make the decision to relocate to Georgia and to ultimately retire is going to be understanding the financial piece that's tied to that decision. Obviously, it takes money to live in the United States. It takes finances to live a comfortable lifestyle, okay? So you need to understand your finances as soon as you can within that 12-month period. I would say maybe take 3 months or so doing the exploration, doing your first visit to Georgia. And then I'll say in month 4, we're gonna start to really look at the finances, okay? Now, what we're trying to determine is essentially, I want you to look at your pre-retirement income, okay? And I want you to understand what your pre-retirement income looks like right now. And then I want you to do a budget on your post-retirement income. What will your income look like once you retire? I want you to be able to really compare and contrast that on paper, on the same piece of paper. Line down the middle, pre-retirement income, post-retirement income. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to see what our choice is gonna be. Can we fully retire and then relocate to Georgia? Or do we need to relocate and then retire? Okay, so that's gonna be the difference. And what I mean by relocate then retire, meaning relocate with a job, keep an income pre-retirement so that you can qualify for a mortgage. Now, that brings up this point. The consequence of that pre-retirement income versus post-retirement income is directly going to be tied to if you need to have a mortgage. If you do not need to have a mortgage to complete your relocation, then it's not really consequential to analyze your pre-retirement versus post-retirement income. But if you do not have liquidity or assets that you can liquidate in order to purchase real estate here in Georgia, then you're gonna need to make sure you understand what your pre-retirement income looks like and your post-retirement income looks like, so that you can understand what your qualifications would be as it relates to qualifying for a mortgage. One of the biggest things and one of the biggest mistakes you can make is assuming that you can qualify for a mortgage with your retirement income and finding out that your retirement income is just not going to be sufficient to get the type of property that you want or to be in the type of area that you want, etc. So understanding what those pre versus post retirement numbers income wise look like is so very important. So you want to do that in the onset as possible, but not until you've made the decision, obviously, to retire. There's going to be two things that can happen. And again, remember, it is only consequential if you need a mortgage. So if you don't need a mortgage, you can kind of wait for the next tip. But if you need a mortgage and you did your math on the finances, pre versus post retirement income, and you've ascertained that with your post retirement income, you would be sufficiently able to qualify for a decent amount of house. Now, here's the income level that you need to be able to see, in my opinion, to get a decent size of a house. Now, this is not taking into account DTI and things like that. But if you're at least $6,000 to $7,000 per month post-retirement income, after taxation, then you should be okay relative to what you want. Now, that is the average. That's like a $400,000 mortgage, okay, at that $5,000 to $6,000 income. Now, if your income is not going to be $5,000 to $6,000 after you retire, but it is $5,000 to $6,000 now, pre-retirement, then you're really leaning towards maybe trying to relocate with your current employer, or if you're in an industry that's in demand, maybe trying to get another job in Georgia in the same industry that can keep up with your same income, so that your Social Security and things like that will be good, and figure out what that retirement pension is going to look like with your current employer. It all depends on how long you've been with your current employer too, right? But you may have to make a decision to actually relocate with a job in order to qualify for the mortgage that you need in order to buy the home that you want to buy, okay? So I hope that makes sense. But again, basically, here's what you don't want to happen. You don't want to retire and find out that the amount of money that you're gonna be living off of post-retirement is insufficient to buy the home that you want. That's the whole purpose of me saying understand your pre and post-retirement income, okay? Now, if you are gonna be buying the home cash, again, like I said, you don't have to worry about that as much, okay? So now let's move on to tip number 2. Now, tip number 2 is where you have explored Georgia and the Atlanta Metropolitan Area, or wherever in Georgia that you want to relocate to, and you have visited the area. You've determined that that area is nice, is what you think it is, and is what you want to do. You've understood your pre and post-retirement income, and you understand that whatever, you've already worked out the finances, so you know your game plan as it relates to your income. So now, in tip number 2, I want you to put a time frame on this. So this is between 60 and 120 days before you want your deadline, or before you want to be in your city and area that you're relocating to. You want to go ahead and reach out to a real estate professional on the buying side, as far as representing you on buying and finding the home, as well as your mortgage officer. You want to go ahead and get started with one of those individuals as well. If you do it right, your real estate professional should have a recommended lender like myself that can assist you with the finance piece, okay? 9 times out of 10, most good realtors will have a preferred lender that they've worked with before, they have a rapport with, and that they feel, that your needs can be met in a superior way. Now, you have no obligation to use their preferred lender, even with me, but you just want to make sure that synchrony And that consistency of that relationship is so fundamental, especially with something as important as relocating and retiring to a whole new area. Okay, so that is tip 2. Between 60 and 120 days, you want to get that process started. But you want to make sure all of those other things have been done so that you'll be invested and fully understanding of what your plan is. And then the tip number 1, essentially, make sure you are committed and you're all in and see it through. Make sure that you don't have any false alarms. Once you get that process started and you've done all of my tips that I've just given you, then you should likely have a very smooth transaction. You want to make sure that you are available to communicate. You want to make sure that you are doing things as quickly as you can. If you need assistance with the technology aspect, you want to be candid and upfront with that real estate professional so that they can put in, things to assist you in making it smooth for you. Okay, so be very candid and be very invested in that process, and trust the process. Trust your decisions that you've made thus far. Trust the professional that you've decided to work with, and have a smooth transaction. So I hope this video was helpful to you, giving you those top 5 tips before you retire and relocate to Georgia. Hopefully you do them in that order as I gave them to you. And feel free to reach out to me. I work with individuals that are looking to retire and relocate all of the time. So feel free to reach out to me. All of my contact information is in the description below. Also, you will see more content regarding active adult communities on the channel. So feel free to hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more communities like that as well. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.